remember being a young Harvin Smith, looking at game reviews online and realizing that, like, wow, these people don't have the slightest clue what makes a video game good. And so, I evolved, I developed, I found alternative ways of looking up good video games. And what do you know? I ended up discovering absolute gems. That was the period where I discovered, like, just how vast and insane the Wii and DS library was. That was how I realized the Wii U was, like, way better than what game journals were saying it was. That's how I realized that, like, Nintendo was the better company, in spite of what every game journal has been, like, screaming about for the past 25 years. Like, Nintendo is superior to the competition. And what that means is, I realized that game journalists were unreliable before Gamergate. And I've been telling everybody for years, never trust game journalists, never care what they think, never care about review scores, never care about sales, never care about, like, E3 or, like, pre-release materials. Like, none of that matters. When you actually talk about the actual games, the gameplay, the visuals, the mechanics, the length of the game, the reality is that Nintendo stops the competition every single time. It's not even close. It's kind of embarrassing, honestly. But game journals have been in denial about that for 25 years, right? They've always done this. They've always been adamant that, like, Nintendo's bad. Nintendo's bad. The Wii was a joke. The Wii U, they did everything they possibly could to downplay this company. And what happened? Normies began to notice, right? First it was Gamergate. First they, like, started blaming, like, woke progressives, and now they're at the point where, like, they just don't pay attention to these people at all. And it's true that they don't know, like, why this corruption was in place to begin with. Yeah, they don't know that, like, game journals were never reliable. They don't know that, like, that they've always downplayed Nintendo. Their purpose is downplaying good video games while promoting, like, corporate slop, right? Like, again, they make it sound like game journals had this, like, fall from grace or something, that they used to be run by enthusiasts. They never were. Like, again, like, you guys need to get it through your head that these people were never your friends. They were always propagandists. They were always tricking you into supporting bad products, right? It's why the PlayStation was so popular. It's why Xbox has always been relevant in spite of not being, never being profitable, right? This is why Nintendo has been downplayed so hard. Like, they are corrupt. And now we're at the point where game journals are acknowledging their own inefficiencies. They are acknowledging that they can't control or manipulate the population anymore. And as a result of that, people are moving away. They are actually writing articles about how they can't manipulate audiences anymore. They are acknowledging that they can give The Last of Us Part 2 all the perfect scores they want, all the game awards they want. They can, like, have bots and shills, like, try to tell you it was actually a 10 out of 10 game, right? They can do it. That they can do everything they want. It's never going to change the fact that the vast majority of the gaming population think The Last of Us is a joke, that Neil Druckmann is a hack, and that, like, anybody who shills the game is purely doing so for political reasons, right? The game failed. There is no getting around that. There will be no damage controlling it. There will be no bringing it back. Cyberpunk 2077 is the same way. Dragon's Dogma 2 is the same way. Final Fantasy 16, like, the list goes on and on and on. Right? They desperately have tried to downplay the very real problems in the industry for the past 25 years, and they're at the point now where it's all come crashing down. It's over, essentially. All that really remains now is for Nintendo to pick up the pieces, right? This is the second gaming crash. right? Because, I was saying even like 10 years ago that, like, yeah, the gaming crash is coming. Games are too expensive. Like, the marketers aren't able to, like, control the population. And what's happened now is that gamers are a lot more discerning with their purchases. They're not spending $60 on random games anymore, right? Like, they are waiting to see like how high quality the game is before buying. They are avoiding DLC. They are playing on Nintendo Switch, which is like the one thing that you're never ever supposed to do as a gamer, right? Like, they're doing all this stuff instead of going out and paying for games with $60 day one. And companies aren't satisfied with that, right? They tried raising game prices this gen. They're talking about raising game prices again this gen, right? They really think that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be able to manipulate people into like paying more money for the same game, right? They're trying really, really, really hard to create this narrative that they're victims, right? That they can't succeed in this economy, that gamers are being unreasonable. Like, it's hard to make video games, guys. Like, that you need to pay more money for higher quality products. Like, it's embarrassing. It really is. Especially when you, like, realize that, like, if you cut the costs of development, if you develop games on Nintendo console, like, like you should have been doing, that would lower the cost of entry, and you wouldn't have to like spend all this money on just producing games for expensive hardware, right? Like, you could do that, but they won't do it. They never will. Why? Because they will never, ever be able to compete with what Nintendo is doing. Like, Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a 2D platformer that outperforms the AAA open world games. Like, people don't really think about how crazy that is. That, like, the most popular, bloated, like, mainstream genre imaginable can get mogged by a 2D platformer. But that's how, like, ubiquitous Super Mario Bros. Is. That's how, like, culturally relevant it is. That's how popular it is, right? Third-party companies cannot compete with Nintendo's branding. Nintendo has survived that initial period of like everyone rallying behind Sony to like try and destroy them and drive them out of the industry. And now that they've done that, it's becoming increasingly difficult to control the Nintendo audience. Like, you can kind of see this now when it comes to discussions about the sixth generation, right? The fifth and sixth generations. People love the N64 and the GameCube. Right? They love the games, they love the hardware, they love the controllers, everything about them, right? Those consoles are still very popular and talked about today. Meanwhile, the PS1 and the PS2 have fallen into obscurity. Why? Because nobody actually liked playing those consoles, right? People only bought them because Journos told them to. The games never came out for those platforms. They never innovated. They're not like higher quality than Nintendo games. They are trash. And nothing has changed over 25 years. The only thing that is different now is that people are catching on to the fact that game journals cannot be trusted.